Hello, I'm Peter Leach, Senior Editor of the Journal of Commerce, and I'm here today in Newark with Jim Newsome, who's Executive Director and CEO of the South Carolina Ports Authority, and basically the head of the Port of Charleston, which has had a real turnaround in the last few years. Jim, I wonder what you could tell us, first of all, when did you get to the port and how did you orchestrate this turnaround?
Well, I started in September of 2009, and we have a great group of people in the port. We always had a strong operating culture, and what we really embarked on was sort of engaging the cargo owners, the shippers and consignees in our port, and connecting the dots between them and the shipping lines. So really a two-pronged strategy, growing our cargo base and adding new services to support the growth in cargo.
And you were able to do that, were you, the last few years? How did you do that?
In the last year, calendar year 12, we grew by almost 10% versus calendar year 11, and that's a good start on what is an ambitious growth strategy.
And where do you go from here?
Well, we have to continue growing above the market. I mean, we're investing $1.3 billion in the next 10 years to grow facilities because we're optimistic about the Southeast market, both exports and imports. And we have to grow, I would say, above market for multiple years to make that successful.
And what are the major projects that you're focused on in terms of growing that cargo?
We're obviously continuing to increase our cargo base in terms of making sure cargo is routed via the cheapest port, sort of expanding our reach with discretionary cargoes such as ag products through the use of transload facilities. We're building an inland port in Greer, South Carolina. And then we work very closely with our state on economic development projects such as plant expansions for Michelin and BMW.
And why do you think the Greer port will help you build cargo?
Well, it's an extension of our port facility 200 miles into the interior. It makes use of the most efficient mode of intermodal transportation, which is rail, and it really within 500 miles can serve 100 million consumers.
That's great. Now, where do you go from here? You've got the rail link to Greer. You've got the new Charleston Navy terminal. What else are you doing?
Well, we are building a new terminal at the Navy base. It's the only permitted container terminal on the east coast of the United States. So we have to grow our infrastructure supporting the port in terms of more transload facilities. I'd like to see us, create some sort of a purpose-built transload facility that could handle large volumes of ag products. Continue to focus on growing our non-container market segment, reattracting more project cargo to our Columbus Street terminal, which we invested about $20 million in, and just continuing to be aggressive in the market. Our market is global in nature, and we've got to be where the customers are.
Now, you talk about growing your ag cargo base, and that's a heavy cargo. How are you going to be able to handle that kind of cargo?
Well, all export cargo in the Southeast is very heavy. It's one of the reasons that we need deep water harbors. So we have the deepest harbor in the Southeast today. We'll always have the deepest harbor in terms of capability. So we need to basically make that point clear to the large producers of ag products in the Midwest who are looking for efficient ways to move their cargo overseas.
And how are you going to handle that kind of cargo in future?
Well, we've got to deepen our harbor, and we are in the middle of an ambitious deepening project. We're going to deepen our harbor to 50 feet, and I'm pleased to tell you that we are moving at a very fast pace to do that. We hope to complete our study by 2015, which means that we will have accomplished a feasibility study in 4 years, which is a very fast time frame today. And we hope to have our harbor deepened by the time the new Navy base terminal is opened, or say the end of 2018. The lines are building big ships. They need deep water harbors. They don't want tidal restrictions when they come in and out of a harbor. So our harbor is really designed to handle a ship at 48 feet of draft 24 hours a day.
Now, how are you going to pay for that harbor deepening project?
The hopeful answer is that we're going to pay 60% of it as a state, and the federal government is going to fund its share of 40%. The reality is that we don't know what the federal government is able and willing to fund today. So our legislature last year took the proactive step of setting aside the entire cost of our deepening study. So the $300 million cost is in the bank today, and it's available to deepen our harbor. So there really is no question from a financing point of view whether our harbor can be deepened or not.
Now, one more question. How does the year ahead this year look like?
Well, you know, a lot of questions in the economy. I mean, where the direction of the U.S. economy at this stage, I think, is iffy. We continue to believe that exports will grow relative to imports, and that's a major part of our growth story. And we have to grow above the market, as I said. So if the economy is tepid, we still need to push the growth curve above the market.
Thank you, Jim Newsome.
Thank you, Peter.